Hold on, wait a second. We just heard that weather forecast. The guy said snow.
Did he really?
He said snow.
Is that what you guys were just talking about?
Yeah.
Snow?
Snow, he said. Overnight, this evening. Snow. I want to wash my hair in snow. Snow.
That's the only positive take on snow.
Well, I'd go right for it. Snow. He said no accumulation. Of course, because it's still been too warm.
That's a consolation.
No, it's fine. I mean, the first few times you go, look how beautiful. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. I love it so much that everything's white and clean and fresh. And then it turns into brown slush.
Yep.
And you go, oh,
So true.
I'm so over this. Yeah. Anyway, happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to the Friday show.
Is it too early for me to tell you, John?
Tell me what?
Your weekend, your snowy November weekend has begun.
Fabulous. 5 minutes past the 4 o'clock hour on a Friday afternoon, at least in this corner of the world. All is right and well. Good to see you, Kath. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you so much, John.
Pleasure.
I am so annoyed with myself because I still don't have my porch furniture put away. Remember, I was going to do that a couple days ago when it was nice and sunny.
Right. What happened?
And I was good. I have too much to do right now. I'm a little overloaded with stuff, and I couldn't get out there.
Don't feel bad.
Except I'm going to be doing it when it's 30 and snowing.
It'll be 40 and snowing, but not that bad. It won't be that bad. Look, I still haven't put my lawnmower away. It's been nice.
I know. It's been really
right?
nice.
So I think, I got to get that lawnmower. I got to take the battery out of the lawnmower and do that. It's just those last minute things you're running. Not even last minute.
No.
I just feel like I'm running around.
Speaking of nice, I'm saluting Pitt today.
Oh, I'm saluting Pitt today as well.
You know why? Because I didn't believe until the end.
You didn't believe?
No, are you kidding me?
Did you think for sure it was going to happen? Like that they were going to lose?
Yes.
No, I did not. No.
That's because
listen.
you didn't go to Pitt.
Well,
those of us who went to Pitt, we have seen that tale told so many times.
Right.
It was a total relief.
It was a relief. Thank goodness. And the three of us, we were like going 45 to 40. We were
we're going to read our picks at the end of today's show at 5:50. And I'll just say it right now. None of us were even close.
Not even close. It was a super
even
squeaker.
A little.
Listen, but after that first quarter, you thought, this is the best football team in the country. I mean, they scored 23 unanswered points. They had 5 sacks.
I felt good about my pick. I was 54. That they're going to score 54 points.
Exactly.
What happened?
I don't know.
They cratered, man.
They surely did. I was making a grilled cheese sandwich, and all of a sudden, everything got topsy-turvy. And you two were like off to the races last night, memeing each other. Don't you like you're part of a conversation, and people are like memeing, and like, wait, hold on, let me catch up. I can't respond.
We weren't memeing.
You were.
We weren't memeing.
You were sending memes.
I sent a meme because he said about making dinner.
Which was very funny.
It was very funny, and I couldn't respond.
Very funny because it's shocking, really.
I know, you sent a photo of a cat. How do you respond to a photo of a cat? I got nothing funny to say about that.
You just like it, John. That's how you get along in this world.
I was worried about my grilled cheese. Okay, what the heck? As we always do, Kath presents us with the news stories, whether local or international. Kath, please, as we always do, give us the top 4 at 4.
Oh, this is a good one. It is. For Friday, November 12th, 2021. Number 1. You ready, John?
Yep.
Okay. Pittsburgh is looking to establish a new city office dedicated to helping the growing immigrant and refugee population.
Hey, great.
I think this is good news. City Council legislation introduced would create the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs that'll help connect immigrants and refugees with resources and benefits offered throughout the city, county, state, federal government, and private organizations. Right. It'll also advise other city offices on engaging the immigrant and refugee population. Excellent. Census figures show, and this was a surprise to me, but I like it, about 9% of the city's roughly 303,000 residents are foreign-born, up from about 7% a decade ago.
Really? 9%? That's a lot of people. I had no idea.
That's what the Trib says.
I like it.
Number 2.
Yes.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Get your favorite cozy cardigan ready because tomorrow is WQED's Cardigan Day and the annual celebration of Mr. Rogers and his legacy of goodness on World Kindness Day.
Nice.
I'm reading from The Incline, and I'm bringing this up because, of course, we're not in the air tomorrow, but I want us to be kind.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Starts right here in this neighborhood.
You know what else The Incline... It's our little neighborhood with the 3 of us.
Exactly.
3 little houses.
The neighborhood of here.
we live in. The Incline reminded me of several years ago when UPMC put all the babies at McGee Women's Hospital, had all the newborn babies in little Mr. Rogers outfits.
Yeah, super
for World Kindness Day.
Very nice.
I looked at the pictures today.
Aw.
It's too much.
Aw.
Number 3. It's such a great week because I have another weird animal story.
Oh, three.
I
You've had
know.
3.
And there's only 5 days in a week.
Holy moly.
This one's about Pingu, an Adelie penguin who was found, John, walking along the beach on the shores of New Zealand, which doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, right? Except Pingu was more than 1,800 miles away from its home in Antarctica. Talk about getting off
What
course.
happened?
Can you believe?
Hope he's okay.
But nobody really knows. It's just the 3rd time an Adelie penguin has been spotted in the country. The only other time a live one turned up was 28 years ago. Anyway, an expert said that he observed the penguin for about 4 hours, and the poor guy was continuously eating stones. So anyway, he ended up being rescued by workers from the Christchurch Penguin Rehab later that day. And they found that the young penguin was fatigued and reluctant to return to the sea.
Yeah, well, you're eating
I can't believe-
stones.
And you've been swimming that long?
I mean,
Tests indicated the penguin was underweight and dehydrated. So you know what they gave him?
Snickers?
Fish smoothies. Anyway, several days later, he was released back into the wild.
How did they do that? What do you mean?
So they just
Put him back in the ocean?
They just put him
Best
back.
of luck.
They put him back on the shore, and they just kind of let him find his way. They were actually contemplating putting him in a helicopter and taking him back to Antarctica.
Yeah.
But they talked to penguin experts, and they said that is not
Leave
a
it
good
alone.
idea. Leave
All
the
right.
penguin alone.
Okay. It's a weird story.
Adelie penguins, which grow to be just about 2 feet tall and 11 pounds, primarily live around Antarctica's Ross Sea.
Okay.
And number 4, John, after almost 90 years of serving the Bloomfield community, Donatelli's is looking for the next generation to serve Pittsburgh.
No,
They
no,
will close
no.
at the end of the year.
You and I were just talking about
Just
this
yesterday, I was there. I was just there yesterday.
Donatelli's is closing. Look, I can abide a lot of things. Oh, I can't believe it.
Listen.
94 years. I love Donatelli's.
And that's your top 4 at 4.
Wow.
All right.
I'm dumbstruck.
I was
dumb.
too. So
Holy
this is
moly.
what Russell Donatelli, the owner, put on Facebook yesterday. He said, "After the passing of my father, Paul Sr. in 2015, and the untimely death of my brother, Paul
What?
Jr. the following year, it's been up to me to keep the Donatelli name going and operating the business. Unfortunately, there's no 4th generation in our family to continue, so I'm looking for the next person to continue on the Italian recipes and traditions passed on to me and my family." But it has to happen before the end of the year.
Someone's going to buy that.
Without that person or group, Donatelli's will close in January, and those recipes and traditions will no longer be enjoyed by the Pittsburgh
That is the
community.
mainstay
I
of that
know.
neighborhood.
I know. Anyway, he closed out by saying, "We want to thank everyone who has supported or worked for the business over the course of their lifetime. Donatelli's Italian Food Center is a special place, and we hope someone will be interested in continuing the tradition that was established for so many
Oh my God! This is what happens to every generation. Like the places you love, like it was the O. The O's gone.
Yeah, I know.
Now Donatelli's. Oh, like
What about Groceria Italiana?
same thing. Although they're still open under
Yeah,
a
but
new
it's
owner.
different.
It is different.
It's
See,
different.
that's what's going to happen to Donatelli's.
It's not the same.
I did not know that the brother passed away. I knew that the father passed away. Those 3 guys were
I
like
know.
super tight.
I know, and I read an interview, and he said it's hard now. For all those years, it was his dad and he and his brother,
Now he's
and now
alone.
it's just him.
Holy
he said it's
smokes.
too much for him. Anyway, anyone out there want to buy Donatelli's? Because we want you to. Mm-hmm. I got 4 packs of biscotti yesterday.
And they were excellent.
I've saved them for the weekend.
Okay. The Case for Heaven, Lee Strobel, is next.
Stupid.
It's a hard truth that the consequences of these past 18 months with COVID have caused people, I believe, around the world to consider the fragility of life and question, I think for a lot of people, what happens when we close our eyes for the last time in this world? Is there an afterlife? Is there heaven? In his new book, The Case for Heaven, a journalist investigates evidence for life after death, best-selling and award-winning author Lee Strobel presents his findings for the reality of life after using conversations with scholars and theologians around the world. The Case for Heaven. Lee Strobel joins us now. Lee, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much. Great to be with you.
Yeah, we're so happy that you're along with us. The Ride Home is streaming live on YouTube at The Word Pittsburgh. If you'd like to watch, Lee's on Zoom with us right now. Lee, it's good to see your face.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Yeah. Okay, Lee. So this book starts with you telling the story that the idea of dying became very real to you over the last couple years. Tell the story about what happened.
Yeah, several years ago, I almost died. My wife found me unconscious on the bedroom floor, called the paramedics. I woke up in the emergency room and looked into the face of a doctor, and he said, "You're one step away from a coma, 2 steps away from dying." Conscious again. So I lingered over that kind of fuzzy border between life and death for quite a while until the doctors were able to save me. I had kind of an unusual medical condition called hyponatremia, which is a severe drop in my blood sodium level. I lost a kidney as part of it,
Really?
and it was quite an experience. But it was a clarifying experience. Yeah. Because, I'm laying there and I'm saying, okay, I'm a Christian. I believe in what the Bible says. If I die, I'm going to go to heaven. But I'm also kind of a skeptic. I got a background in journalism and law. So I'm thinking, but does neuroscience back that up? What do scientists and historians and theologians and philosophers really say about this? And that's what kind of launched me on the project that has resulted in this new book, The Case for Heaven.
Wonderful. So I'm sorry to say that, Lee, that as I'm reading about you, your brother Ray, he died of COVID. Talk about that as well. I mean, there you are writing a book about heaven, and then your brother passes away.
That's right. And he was an atheist, like I
Is that right?
was for much of my life. I was an atheist for until I researched the evidence for the resurrection of Jesus and concluded that Jesus didn't just claim to be the Son of God, he backed it up by returning from the dead. My brother was an atheist. I hope that in those waning moments of his life, he turned to God. He knew the gospel. I led my father-in-law, who was an atheist, to faith in the last conversation of his life before he died. And I believe he's in heaven. Mm-hmm. So, my brother had heart surgery. He was 76. He was a partier. He was a drinker, a smoker. And they put him in a nursing home to recover. And he caught, quote unquote, the flu. And of course, COVID was circulating at the time. And he died.
So, Lee, this isn't theoretical. And it's not going to be theoretical for any of us, but certainly for you, it's not theoretical right now. So, of course, that shed a different light on the writing of this book that I'm indicating here on the screen. So tell us about the book. You've written a ton of books. This is new. Is it also special to you?
Very much so, because, as was mentioned, so many people in America, 29% of Americans either know someone who's died of COVID or have a family member die of COVID. And it has opened up people to questions about the afterlife. In fact, my wife Leslie and I were at a restaurant a while back, and the waitress, young woman, about 18 years old, named Cameron, started to cry. And we said, "What's wrong?" She said, "I'm sorry, I almost didn't come into work today. We just lost a family member to COVID." And I thought, here's a young woman, about 18 years old, probably never thought about death before. She's got her whole life ahead of her. Why should she? But now death has come knocking on her family's door. Now you can see the anxiety and the apprehension and the concern in her eyes, and she's now become a friend. I've given her a copy of the book, and we've been trying to encourage her. But I think that's true of a lot of people. They begin to wonder, okay, I've heard of this heaven idea. I know it's in the Bible, but can I trust it? How do I know it's true?
Right. Okay, so Lee, the essence of who you are as a journalist is the skill that you have as an investigative reporter. So how do you investigate the truth of heaven? I mean, you talk to a lot of different people in the process of The Case for Heaven. What did you uncover? I mean, people are going all the time. The basic questions people ask are, will I be in heaven? What about my spouse? And what about my dog?
Yeah, that's right. The dog always comes up.
Sure.
What really surprised me in my investigation is I was a skeptic about near-death experiences. I thought they were just hallucinations or the dying gasps of a brain that was about to face its demise. But what I learned, there are 900 scholarly articles published in scientific and medical journals on near-death experiences over the last 40 years. So this is a well-researched, scientifically studied area.
Really?
And even the Lancet, the famous medical journal in the UK, said no other alternative explanation explains away these near-death experiences. So I'll give you a quick example. There's a woman named Maria died of a heart attack in a hospital. But she said later, I was alive the whole time. I was awake. My spirit separated from my body. I watched the resuscitation efforts. Then my spirit floated outside the hospital. And when I returned to my body and was finally revived, she said, oh, by the way, there's a man's tennis shoe on the roof of the hospital. It's black. It's left-footed. There's some wear over the little toe, and the shoelace is tucked under the heel. And they went up the roof and they found it exactly as she described it.
No way.
That's so cool.
Yes. So that's just one. I probably cite, 20 or 25 examples where we have corroboration that indeed at the time of death, just as the Bible says, our spirit, our soul separates from our body. In fact, one study into 21 blind people, half of them blind since birth, found that during their near-death experience, they could see for the first time.
No kidding.
And when they returned to their body, their eyesight was gone. That's medically impossible.
And so, Lee, were these believers and non-believers alike?
That's a very astute question, because people say, wait a minute, Bible says you were appointed once to die and then the judgment. Well, these people are not irrevocably dead. They're dead, declared dead, not breathing, no brain waves, no breathing. They're clinically dead, but they're not irrevocably dead because they're going to come back. And so when the Bible talks about death, it's really referring to what happens when we ain't going to come back, when it's a permanent death. And so this kind of explains away some of the experience that people have that you think, well, how can, for instance, one guy, 24% of people go to hell in these near-death experiences. And Howard Storm did in his near-death experience. And yet he called out to Jesus, and Jesus rescued him. And today, now that he's recovered, he's renounced his atheism and is now a pastor of a church.
I bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about the dog then. and I resent the fact that no one brought up cats. So I'm bringing it up right now, Lee. I'm the person I'm asking.
Wait, no, Lee. So through all the theology, all the learning, this is the number one question.
Number one. By a long shot. By a long shot. I mean, yeah, people want to know, and I'm skeptical about the cat.
Funny.
Although my son had a chinchilla when we were growing up, which is kind of like a squirrel. I think he's in heaven.
Don't compare your chinchilla to my cat.
Won't that be a surprise?
Well, here's the thing. Will there be animals in heaven? Yes. We know from Isaiah and Revelation there'll be animals in heaven. Animals have souls. They're not as complex as our soul. We're made in the image of God. And animals were created before the fall, so they were part of God's good creation. So there will be animals, but will there be pets? That is, I can't point to a verse, and nobody can. But a lot of people, like Johnny Erickson Tada, said, I believe it would just be like God in his love and his grace and his sense of humor to reunite us with the pets that we had when we were growing up, we loved so much. And I kind of side with that.
That's good. Yeah. So then, in all of this, Lee, when you're done with, the last manuscript has been checked, the book goes to the publisher. What do you carry with me? I mean, is it a sense of joy and relief at the same time?
It is. It's, what it's like? It's like having a vacation on your calendar. In other words, if you've ever been in a period of time where you're working really hard and life is difficult and you're short of money and things are tough, but if you have a vacation coming up on the calendar, you go, I think I can get through it to that.
Yeah, we got this out.
Heaven is sort of like that. Because if you know that heaven is real, you can get through the difficulties of life because it's coming.
I'll take that. That's a great thing.
I really like that analogy.
Heaven is a vacation on my calendar.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Okay. So tell us about you personally. How I know you're thinking about the vacation on your calendar because that came to your mind instantly. But personally,
December 1st,
I mean, you were immersed in this idea for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So talk about how you're different.
Well, I'm different because I sat down for a chapter I wrote with Luis Palau, the famous evangelist, who knew he was dying. And I wanted to interview a Christian who was about to die because about their perception of heaven. So I sat down, there was a friend and a hero of mine. I sat down with him and I interviewed him. It's a whole chapter in the book. It's very profound about his reflections about what he would say to someone who's about to die and how he was looking at heaven. But he said to me, he said, Lee, at the end of your life, when all is said and done, you will never regret being courageous for Christ. And that has stuck with me so much because coming from Luis, that's powerful stuff. And do I have time to tell you one last thing? One more thing. The other thing I take away are the words of Charles Spurgeon, the famous preacher from the 1800s. He said something that gave me a new perspective. I'll read it to you real quick.
Yeah.
He said, "The very glory of heaven is that we shall see him, that same Christ who once died upon Calvary's cross, that we shall fall down and worship at his feet. Nay, more, that he shall kiss us with the kisses of his mouth and welcome us to dwell with him forever." And I thought,
wow,
have you ever imagined Jesus welcome you in heaven with kisses, with hugs? Think of the prodigal son story, how father embraced his run. That just warmed my heart when I read that quote.
Wow.
That's fabulous.
That sure is.
Lee, thanks. You made my day.
Me too.
You really did.
Thanks. I appreciate
This
that.
is great news.
to see you guys.
Yeah, great to see you as well. Lee Strobel, The Case for Heaven, a journalist, investigates evidence for life after death. Fabulous. Really good.
Lee, we're glad you're
God
still with
bless
us.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. Me too.
It's time now for This or That. It's our weekly delve into the ridiculousness. Just really simple. It's this thing or that thing. Kath has a list, and so do I.
I choose to receive, John.
All right, here we go.
I've liked receiving lately.
Eating a ripe pear. Drinking a Slurpee.
I'm going to go ripe pear.
Oh. Dick Van Dyke. Dick Groat.
That is not fair. Why? That's
This or
not.
that. This or that.
How am I supposed?
This or that.
They're not even related.
Dick Van Dyke. Dick
All right, Dick Groat, hometown boy.
The kid booster chair. The booster shot.
I mean, I like the hard plastic of the kid booster chair.
Living in a commune. Living in a convent.
Well,
This or that.
commune. How do I pick commune?
Really?
Go ahead.
Dirty, stinky. Advil. Advent.
Well, I appreciate them both. I'll be honest with you, but I wouldn't feel right about myself if I picked the pain reliever. So I'll go Advent.
And still you chose commune. Being in labor.
Yeah,
Being the Secretary of Labor.
I'll take being the Secretary of Labor. Thank you.
Christian metal. Christian rap.
John. Okay. I think I'll go rap.
Okay. Peace be with you. My peace I give unto you.
My peace I give unto you. I give not as the world gives. Thank you, God.
Raking leaves.
Yeah.
Cutting grass.
Cutting grass. The raking of the leaves is hard on the back. The bending and all that.
Pit. Word FM.
That's
This or that.
you're punishing. I went to Pitt.
Pit. Word FM.
All right, word of him.
There we go. Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Wilson Pickett.
Kenny. Kenny gets my vote.
A ham.
Yeah.
A yam.
Yam, please.
A hanky. Banksy.
Banksy, that's like a bunch of. I'll take the hanky.
Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Jeff Bridges.
Oh, that's a hard choice. That's a super hard choice.
It is.
How am I got to go to the cowbell. I'm going walking.
Illegal streaming. Busy bone.
Well, the busy bone's dangerous. I'm going illegal streaming, John.
That's my this or that.
That's good, John.
Thank you.
So there have been two nationally televised local teams on
Yes.
for
it's
the
been
nation.
a great week.
So we had the Steeler game Monday and we had the Pitt game last night. And so I'm calling this, John, the Too Many Snacks edition of This or That. Okay? Number
Good.
one.
Okay.
Kale or microgreens?
Oh boy. I'll do microgreens every which way.
Number two.
Yep.
20 push-ups or 20 crunches?
I get that bad shoulder. I'm doing the crunches.
Yeah, that's probably a wise idea. Drink only water, John, or eat only vegetables?
Drink only water.
Okay. Number four. Sugar-free or salt-free?
Sugar-free.
Really? That was
Oh, yeah.
easy. Number five. Get out there, John, and bike 10 miles or stay inside and Peloton it for an hour.
Oh, no. Get out and do 10 miles.
Would you?
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Well, you think that's why? Why would you choose that?
It's just much more enjoyable.
Okay. Plus, it's cheaper.
Well, it's just more enjoyable.
You already have the bike.
You're out there.
You have to pay what, $5,000
Peloton.
for
Someone's
Peloton?
yelling at me while I'm riding a bike. That's the last thing I need. Jeez.
Number six. Eat only organic foods or become a vegan.
Oh boy, that's a rough one. Yeah. That organic is so expensive and so. I'm a vegan. I gotta eat a fish head. I'll do the organic.
7.
Okay.
Stair climber
Yep.
or intermittent fasting?
Oh, intermittent fasting.
Well, that was way too easy.
That's easy. I like doing that.
Number 8. Forgo nightshades or forgo window shades? Do you know what nightshades are? Tomatoes, potatoes,
Oh.
eggplant. So, like, no more
No,
potatoes, tomatoes. Do you forgo your nightshades or your window shades?
I forego my window shades.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell the neighbors. Number 9.
Oh, they know.
Train to run a half marathon, John? You. Or train to swim a half mile?
Oh, I'll sink like a stone, and then I'll hobble with broken legs. Either one of them is horrible.
This or
A half
that, John.
marathon, I could probably walk a half marathon.
It's not. Okay.
I'm doing it.
It was trained to run it, not walk it.
Oh, yeah, I'm dead either way. I'll swim.
Ketosis or halitosis
Oh, stinky breath
or no carbs?
yeah, ketosis.
Wow.
I care about you. That's it.
That's it.
This or that. How was your gardening this year? How'd you do?
Since we're doing things inside our house
Yeah.
right now, we've been purging. We're having renovations done if
Yeah.
they'll ever start. At this point, I'm starting to think maybe it's not ever going to happen. Anyway, I didn't spend as much time outside.
Right.
However, what I grew went crazy.
Really?
So it didn't look great, but I got a lot of yield.
Okay.
So I feel pretty good about it.
Good. All right.
I mean, but if you came into my yard, I'd be a little embarrassed.
Me?
And if Doug Oster came into my yard, I'd be super embarrassed.
I don't think Doug's shaming anybody. Doug Oster is editor of Gardening with Doug at DougOster.com. Doug, shame is not part of gardening, is it?
Absolutely not. And in fact, I love that type of garden because I have the same type of garden, Kathy. So
Okay, well, that's good. That's good.
We are kindred spirits. And when I heard you sigh, I heard that sigh. But then when you came back with everything did good, it just didn't look great. That's okay.
Okay.
there's no shame in gardening. We all do it differently, and it sounds like you had a great season. And I know what you're up against because I'm doing the same sort of thing. I finally got somebody to work on this old house.
Oh,
and so they're
you can
doing
only
the work
focus on so many things.
And I'm doing a little painting, which is very scary since I don't know which side of a hammer to hold, but I can hold a paintbrush.
Okay, well, let me bring this up to you, Doug. Last year, at just about this time, I asked you if all the mums I planted were going to come back again this year. And you said, now listen, do not get your hopes up. I'm going to give you a 5% chance of mums coming back. Well, I want you to know that you were almost exactly numerically correct.
5%.
Because out of all the mums I planted, one came back. Huh. So it was almost exactly 5%. But boy, was it fabulous. So does that mean it's going to come back again next year?
That definitely. That one that has lasted and come back, that is a perennial now.
Oh, yes.
It's so hard what we're asking this plant to do, because what they're doing is they're growing this plant and they are filling it with all those buds and blooms, and it takes so much energy to get all those blooms, yet we want it to also establish its root growth, and it's just so hard to do. I'm the same boat you're in, Kathy. It's about 5% that you stick them in, and you cross your fingers and hope for the best. And anything that does come back, it's there for good. And then what's nice too is it's going to start spreading for you too. It's going to start expanding a little bit, and it's so nice to have something like that. And I've got one out there just like yours that's just finishing its bloom right now, and did it on its own, and I didn't have to worry about it. And that's just the way it goes, It's something I talk a lot about in the fall for people, especially early, trying to get people to get their mums in early. But then if you get them in early, they're done. It's definitely a difficult thing to get them to do what we want them to do year after year.
Doug Oster's with us. GardeningWithDoug.com is the place to go. Doug, so what about the idea of, putting the garden to bed? What does the reality look like?
Well, it looks like what I was just doing before you called. Pulling out all those old tomato vines and pepper plants and impatiens and all that sort of stuff. Anything that what we call an annual that goes from first frost to last frost. And now we need to get those plants out of the garden. Hopefully they're going into a compost pile. That's a great way to recycle, as you get the direct benefit of that compost pile when it turns into the beautiful black gold. But, get all that stuff out of there. The winter is starting so slow that we have time to do this. Usually when I'm doing it this time of the year, I'm, freezing fingers, pulling all that mushy plant material out. But get all that stuff out, and if you had any kind of things with tubers or bulbs underneath, like a dahlia or a caladium, elephant ear, tuberous begonia, a canna, stuff like that, you could still dig up those bulbs and save them, and it's pretty easy to do. And being the number one gardening cheapskate, I save my tubers. That's what I was doing today. I pulled some
really.
Dahlia tubers out, some caladiums. I love caladiums. It's a shade-loving foliage plant that has just beautiful leaves, but it loves warm weather, and so now it's just like blah. But those bulbs underneath can be saved just by putting them in a little bit of either peat moss or vermiculite in a Rubbermaid container, and you put them in a spot down in the basement for the winter and bring them back out in the spring.
Really?
And the money you spent this year buying them, you won't have to do next year. And that for me is definitely a bonus.
That's fabulous.
Wow, I've never done that. That's interesting. Okay. So
I think you'd like it because it's so easy, especially with something like a dahlia. Underneath is a big tuber, and so it's easy to find. If you had the type of begonia that had that tuber underneath, that's another easy one to do also. And cannas, the big cannas with their red flowers and yellow flowers, If you could find those stores so easily, that's just fun to. You get more of them. They expand. It's just fun to share them with your friends. Pot them up in the spring and say, "Hey, here's a beautiful plant for you."
So I have a tuberous begonia that I've grown in a pot all summer. Can I just dig that up and store that?
You might even be able just cut the tops off, whatever's left there, and take that whole pot and just stick it down in the basement and let it dry out, and that might be enough to do it. I've got one today that I did this. It was outside. It got really big, and the container's too big to move. And so I just dug it out, and I'm going to do that, let it dry out for a couple of days on some newspaper, and then I'm going to stick it in a Rubbermaid container with some vermiculite, or you could use peat moss. There's 100 different ways to do this job, and everyone does it a little bit differently, but it's so much fun to have the same plant and keep it going over the years. And as I say, they keep expanding and getting a little bit bigger, and then you can kind of chip off a little bit and give it to a friend.
That's cool.
Wow, terrific. Doug Oster's with us, Gardening with Doug. Doug, I have a pretty big herb garden, and so I went out and I took all, my basil out and my dill, and you got rid of that, all the old scraggly stuff. My parsley still going strong, my sage still going strong. And so how long do you think that that's going to last for me? How long can I go out and snip?
The sage is a perennial, so no problem there. Just let it do its thing. We'll get to some super cold weather here mid-December, end of December. That'll probably kill it back to the ground. The parsley, though, is super tough and could go all the way through the winter. If I had parsley out now, I would let it go until you're looking at below 30-degree temperatures, and I would give it a little bit of protection if you could. That could mean something like just a little bit, like a 3 mil thick, clear drop cloth from the hardware store. Just something to support it. Make a little greenhouse out there if you're interested in that. But oftentimes the parsley will just winter over on its own, and you'll be picking at every thaw. And then next year with the parsley, what happens is early in the spring you can pick it, and then it will start to try and make more parsley by going to seed. And in that case, I just let them do their thing, throw the seed, and hopefully they'll pop up again, and you'll have a recurring parsley garden there within your herb garden.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Hey, Doug, just a side question. I was driving through my neighborhood earlier this week, and I saw a neighbor up the street. He was planting a tree, which really surprised me. I mean, it's getting cold here. Is now still okay to plant a tree?
Oh, this is perfect
really?
Tree planting weather, because what we're wanting here is we're wanting that tree to get those roots going. It's too cold and the days are too short for it to try and push out any new growth on top.
Yeah.
It's not going to want to do that. And so we can plant trees and shrubs and perennials and bulbs and garlic all the way up until the ground freezes, but trees in particular, and this is the time you can go to a nursery, get some deals, and find a really cool tree and get it in right now. The couple things real quick about tree planting: never plant it too deep. When you get that plant, brush it off down where the bottom is, and there's this thing called a root flare. It's where the trunk kind of flares out into the soil. That has to be above grade, and then know how big those plants are going to get, and respect that size, because so many times I get people reaching out to me saying, can I cut the top of this tree off? No. Can I cut the side of this tree off? No, it's going to look awful. Know how big it's going to get and give it the space it needs, and then you'll be fine. And like I said, perfect time to plant trees.
Okay, so when does the ground freeze, specifically? How do you know that?
Well, it just depends on the season. Oftentimes it's Christmas into January, the ground will freeze solid. But
really?
It just depends on the season. In the last several seasons, maybe 5 seasons,
it's been warm.
We've been able to plant trees through December.
Interesting.
Wow.
So you just got to, everything with gardening, is about watching the weather.
Interesting. Okay.
And realizing that, like, oftentimes people will go like now they go buy 5 trees. Like, I can get them half price. I'm going to get them right now, and they get 1 or 2 in, and they get 3 of them sitting in the driveway, and then you see temperatures for the next week 30 degrees. Like, I got to get planting.
Right. Okay, so Doug, this is not necessarily a gardening question per se, but we're talking about warmer weather. Is it unusually odd that the leaves are still on all the trees right now? I'm waiting for the leaves to fall, and it feels like it's super, super late.
Well, again, it's kind of disconcerting, to tell you the truth, because this seems to be a pattern. I keep waiting for a normal start to winter to kind of get me back to, I'm an old guy, so winter started in, October, and then we're over in March. And so I think it's unusual to as somebody who lives in an oak forest and spends many weeks blowing leaves.
Yeah.
It seems like they're on there a lot longer. Now, I looked out yesterday, and yesterday was the start of it, where they really were coming down good. But real quick, on your flower beds, on your vegetable garden, experts are telling us, leave your leaves there. Let them lay there, because all these good things will be underneath there. Butterflies will have their eggs down there, and caterpillars, and all the beneficials will be there. The place we're blowing them off for me is the driveway, which we affectionately call Kilimanjaro, and then the patio and the walkway and some of the grass. You can't leave them on the grass, but other than that, they're just staying on there. And from talking to arborists over the years, that's the number one thing we can do to help our trees is just let those leaves do their thing. So if you can get away with it, leave them where you can.
Fabulous.
That's Doug Oster, editor of Gardening with Doug at Doug Oster. That's DougOster.com. Doug, we love you. Thanks so much. Terrific to talk to you.
Thank you, and I'm glad you guys had a great season.
Yeah,
you too. We'll take a quick break. When we do come back, women and the movies, the movie audience is not showing up. The movie industry has a problem that could outlast the pandemic. Women over the age of 35 are not returning to the theater.
They were in the theater before the pandemic?
Yes, they were. By far and away, other than young men and action adventure movies, women over the age of 35 were the financial backbone of the movie industry. Now, so as life returns to normal, those young audiences, for the most part, have returned. There have been a lot of movies that have been out there, the Fast and the Furious franchise and the thing called Venom, Let There Be Carnage, that kind of stuff.
I love Venom.
Let There Be Carnage. Which topped all theatrical releases and ticket sales in October.
That's kind of depressing.
But older audiences, especially women, are not returning. The relative absence could undermine a box office rebound this holiday season. Big blockbusters are expected. West Side Story, House of Gucci, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Those are all in the pipeline. All, they say, women-centric movies, and Hollywood could be in trouble because of that.
So this is women over 35?
That's right.
All right. So I'm over 35.
And you never go to the movies.
I never go to the
Ever.
movies, but I went last week with you.
Oh, that's right. We did go to the movies together.
It was so memorable. He almost
I
forgot it
forget.
happened.
I mean,
It's like,
it is
can
rare.
we? Wow.
I think the only time you go to the movies is because of a work thing.
Yeah.
Right? Or it
It's
wasn't
not
a really
my
work thing.
And my popcorn wasn't very good that night.
It wasn't?
How was
I don't
yours?
care. No, listen, popcorn has to be really, 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 really bad for me to disavow it.
Did you get butter on it?
No.
Yeah.
But we always had that battle.
Right.
I would say yes. My wife always says no.
Right.
Did you get butter in yours?
No, I never get butter
Because it's not
on
really
it.
butter. It's just oil.
Right. I didn't get. Anyways, it's disappointing. Yeah. Okay, so Christy's under 35.
She never go.
Have you been back to the movies?
Once on a bad date.
Oh.
What'd you see?
Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, that's a bad date.
I mean, it wasn't. It
Why would
wasn't.
the guy
It
think
wasn't. Let There Be Carnage. But
Yeah.
Why would someone think that's a good date movie? Right?
What do you think's a good date movie?
Well, like a rom-com would be a good date movie.
Yeah.
Something a comedy.
Right.
Something
but
fun.
What about if it's awkward? It's a first date. What if it's
It
like
wasn't a first date.
Oh, was it?
No.
I think movies are bad for a first date anyway, right? Because
Didn't you go on a first date with your wife?
I went to a
movie?
double feature with my
Well,
wife.
See, so
But I knew she was a movie person.
Oh, okay. That's
So we were like,
different.
we were all super excited about it, But it's just someone, you're just meeting or
Right,
whatnot.
okay.
But Godzilla versus who?
King Kong.
Oh. Yeah.
You didn't see that one, John.
No, I did not.
That's
not
too
to be
bad.
snooty or anything.
I want to go see Macbeth, though.
Me too. I want to see all these. I want to see the remake of West Side Story. It's the Spielberg. Are you kidding me?
That's not,
I'm
I don't
super
know.
excited by that.
Okay.
So, because of the supply chain issues, there's that phrase. Because of supply chain issues, retailers are saying, oh no, you may not get the Christmas present you were hoping for. Right? So, I see a piece, an article in today's Times, how to buy nothing new this holiday gifting season. And Amiseal Griffin is the author. And she says that every year, her and her husband set a holiday challenge for each other. They find a gift at the local thrift store, something delightful that is a reflection of our individual aesthetic or obsession. The tradition has brought some of my favorite objects into our home.
That's like the Regent Square yard sales. What
Kind
that
of in
is.
a way, yeah. So she tells a story that she has this poster, an original poster from the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, which hangs in her bedroom. And she said that there's a foam core backing to it that says it was framed at the Telegraph Avenue shop in Berkeley, California. She said it's not just a cool poster, it's also for a movie that we saw together in an ultra-large format at the Brooklyn Academy of Music back before we had kids. My husband lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. We met in New York, and now we live in Vermont, where the poster has ended up. It feels like it's just a part of our story.
That's sweet.
Right. So she suggests now's the time to start to comb
To start thinking about it.
your goodwill and go out there and think, I've got X number of people.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Is it tasteless
To give somebody?
to give somebody now?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not tasteless.
Okay. Now you're the one who has told me that my predilection for buying high quality sheets at yard sales is a mistake.
That's sheets. That's sheets.
Sheets go through the washing machine.
No.
All the other things that you'd be buying used would not go through the washing machine.
But if you gave me a gift from a thrift store, I wouldn't. Are you saying you would offend someone?
I'm asking the question.
I wouldn't be offended by that. No.
You know, I love a thrift store, so I
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't be offended.
No, I mean,
I would like it better, probably.
You get that baseball lamp in your office.
Isn't that a great
It's
lamp?
super cool, right? And that's like a one of a kind
I
thing.
keep forgetting to get a lampshade for that.
Right. So, no, I don't think it's weird at all. Some people probably, yes, would be offended as though you were being, cheap or tawdry. Tawdry, there's that word. Passing something off, for $1.50 or something like that.
Yeah. I'm in favor of it.
What if you set the tone? Because the author, How to Buy Nothing New This Holiday Gift Season, this is the center point of her holiday gift giving, whether it's for their kids, their family members.
And you announce ahead of time, this is what we're doing.
Well, apparently with this family, they know that this has been, this is what
this
they've
is
been
what they
doing.
always do.
Yes, for many, many, many years.
So it's not a supply chain issue for them.
No, it's just no.
Here's the problem, though. If say my family decided to adopt this idea, I would be fine because I know all the used places. My husband has never been in any of the places that I go to. So he would not. He wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, that's not an excuse.
Okay.
No, I don't think it is.
You can tell him that, John.
I mean, really. How hard is it to figure it out?
I'm just saying that is a normal part of my life, and it's an abnormal part of his.
Wait, I know where the Macy's is. I don't know where Thriftique is.
Exactly.
Wait, that's the problem?
Yeah.
In this day and age,
He
that doesn't
doesn't
mean
even know what
anything.
Thriftique is.
Well, I've been
Though he's
there.
heard the stories, so I'll tell you that right now.
Well, there's something going on there in aisle 3.
All right. So speaking of something going on,
What's that?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Uh-oh.
It's a Friday. And I was in a store yesterday getting some things for the family.
Yeah. In the
And
thrift store.
No.
Oh.
And I came upon this and I realized that in all of our conversations previously about snacks for the Pitt game last night, snacks for the Steeler game on Monday night, and Halloween, which was nearly 2 weeks ago, we never, a single time, this candy never came up.
You got a candy.
I have it in my possession.
Oh, I like this so
Yeah.
much when you do this. I do. I really like when you bring food into the studio. It makes my day.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, this never came up.
Really?
Ron.
It's a mystery food
I can't
that
figure it out.
are they marshmallows?
Well,
Coconut marshmallows. Oh, Mallow cups. Let me have one of those babies
you guys,
right now.
listen. The Ride Home is streaming live on YouTube, the word Pittsburgh. I am holding up this bag. Look at this.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy? We never discussed this candy.
No. They are really, they've sort of fallen from favor.
Okay, so let me tell
Boy
you.
or
I'm
PA?
gonna open it up.
Now, that's a weird bag because that's not an official Mallow
It's not.
cup.
It's not. It's not. But it's from. Look, it's from the. What, now you don't like the bag?
No. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Boy,
I know the Mallow cup
this
story.
This is a tough crowd.
I just know
Anyway,
Mallow cups.
You're right. Okay. Christy, let me say, because Christy's new here. She's only been here, 4 months or something?
Almost 6.
All right.
Hey, how time flies.
Whatever.
Almost 6.
Whatever. Anyway, when I started in this job, Christy, John brought up the Mallow cup as being one of his favorite candies. And I said, that is such a low rent candy.
It's not.
Okay. I said that when I was trick or treating,
Yep.
this is the candy I would always try to pass off to somebody else. I thought it was so lame.
Yep.
But stop it. But then he made me taste one.
Yeah.
And I realized that they're magical.
They
They're
are.
not bad.
They're really
they're
really
really good.
I'm going to bring you one, but I can't throw it through the glass.
I like a Mallow. Thank
Yeah.
you for this. Okay, here's the story once again. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
had a paper route, treat myself to a Mallow cup, and then they used to have the coins. They were on a paper. They were just a cardboard backing.
Okay.
And they would be like 5 cents, 10 cents, sometimes they'd be a quarter. If you saved 500 of the paper coins, put them on a piece of paper, 500, in value, put them on a piece of paper, several pieces of paper, mail them to the Mallow Cup Candy Company in Boyer,
Boyer,
PA. They would send you a box of your own Mallow cups. Are you kidding me? As a kid, I thought this was like a miracle. Someone's going to mail me candy through
It's
the
like
mail.
digging up gold in your backyard.
I did this multiple times, so I have a deep emotional connection with a Mallow cup here.
The smell of the Mallow cup,
That's pretty good.
it's super delicious. I'm taking a bite.
It's marshmallow.
But it's not just its marshmallow, it's coconut marshmallow.
That's really good, Kath. Thanks for that. Really nice. Wow.
All right, hit the thing.
Okay. Oh. What's next?
Coming up next, the Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness.
Oh,
How to take your wokeness to the next level by canceling friends, breaking windows, and burning it all to the ground.
oh my gosh.
Joel Berry's next.
Babylon Bee here on Word FM. That is so good. I don't know about you, but how many times do you read the headlines or read a story or see something on the news and your eyes roll so hard that they're like ready to pop out of your head? What a strange world we are living in today. It's just unfathomable. Thank goodness there is some backlash with humor. Joel Berry is with us. Joel's the managing editor of the Babylon Bee. If you know it, you're shaking your head and giving a thumbs up. If you don't, well, it's about time you do. Joel, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Sure, Joel. So for people who don't know what the Babylon Bee is, and maybe don't understand what the word satire means, how about you give us a working definition?
Yeah, so the Babylon Bee is it is a satirical news website, and what we do is we publish kind of dry AP-style news that is fake. None of our stories are real, just to be clear. It's cultural commentary. We're commenting on what's going on in the news, what's going on in the culture. You know, kind of skewering silly things, idolatry, bad ideas, and doing it in a humorous way, which hopefully is disarming.
Yeah, hopefully, right? You live in such an age, though, that in some ways, Joel, the comedy's kind of writing itself. Not to minimize your work, but it just seems crazy upside down.
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's the satire does kind of write itself, but it at the same time can be a challenge because, you know, satire in some sense is an exaggeration of reality, and reality has just become so crazy, so absurd that it's really hard to exaggerate it beyond what it already is sometimes.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's a good point. So
it's a daily challenge.
Yeah. So I had I didn't really know what satire was until I was in college. I know that seems kind of dumb. You think, well, you should grow up having, but it's one of those things that it's like a word that exists in, you know, literature, and you don't really know what it is until I went to college and I had a class in satire.
Yeah.
And the professor of the class, Christopher Rawson, he impressed upon us the absolute cultural necessity of satire. He said, and if you don't like it, you should still champion its existence. So us liking satire or not liking satire today seems to be a badge of honor. Right? It's like how we express our self-righteousness. But the way my professor taught it to me is that we should all encourage satire in society, whether we like it or don't like it.
Yeah, well, you know, satire is very powerful, and it is our goal at the Babylon Bee is to speak truth through satire, and a lot of times a funny joke or a headline has a way of cutting through the noise and you know, just the craziness, the partisanship out there a lot more effectively than, you know, say a book or a 12-page think piece. So, you know, one of our favorite writers, G.K. Chesterton, he has a famous quote. He says that humor can get in under the door humor can get in under the door while seriousness is still fumbling at the handle.
Huh.
And so we understand the effectiveness of it and try to use it as effectively as we can.
So, Joel, I would imagine that people, you know, read the Babylon Bee, whether it's on Twitter or, you know, you guys are in so many different outlets, and thank goodness you are, and they think, well, I could do that. That seems like a pretty easy gig. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, comedy is hard. So can you describe what it's like for you and, you know, other people? You know, is there such a thing as the writer's room still, where you guys are sitting around throwing ideas around? How's that work?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We do laugh a lot, but it is a grind. I mean, I always say that in order to write a good joke, you have to write a lot of bad jokes. So we have a writer's room. It's myself and our editor-in-chief, Kyle Mann, and about 6 or 7 part-time writers. We kind of share an online you know, chat group, and we'll just pitch all day. So for every one headline that ends up getting published, there might be 40 or 50 headlines that end up in the trash.
I bet.
And so it is. It's fun. It's an art, but it's also a craft and a discipline. So there are days when you just don't feel very funny, or you can't think of anything, and you still got to get the jokes out. You know. So But all that aside, it is a lot of fun. We laugh every day.
Yeah,
Good.
because this is a serious question. Now, Kath and I, we do the show every day. We've been doing the show for a long time, and the past couple of years have just been brutal. And you carry this around, and you could understand this because you're carrying what you do around. I mean, some ways, do you feel like I don't want to get too personal here, but your mental health suffers because you think everything's so crazy and
everybody's so mean and so mad.
And especially for you guys, you're supposed to be funny guys. It's sort of like a sick, twisted thing that you're trying to turn into something light and easy.
It's true, but I'll tell you, working for the Bee has actually been very, very healing for me. I've been someone who's always been into politics and have always kind of carried the weight of what's going on, the state of our culture, very seriously, and kind of changing your mindset to where you're looking around at what's going on and you're trying to find the funny in it. There's something just very, very nice about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a weight off of my shoulders.
Really?
Just that mindset change. And I hope it has that effect on readers as well. And we get a lot of feedback from readers saying that, they do a lot of hand-wringing and worrying about the state of our world, but reading a couple headlines at the Bee can really be a relief to them.
Fabulous. I mean, it's healing. To hear you say that's really interesting. Okay, so what about somebody like Dave Chappelle, right? I'll watch a David Chappelle thing. I mean, it's not certainly family viewing, but I mean that to me is sort of like the exclamation point in the wokeness culture right now, where the left is eating itself, and I appreciate Dave Chappelle's pushback.
Oh yeah, we're very encouraged by people like Dave Chappelle. Another great example is Bill Maher, who, these guys are traditionally, on the left. We don't agree with a lot of their worldview, what they believe, but they are seeing what's going on, and they're having the courage to speak the truth in a time when it's very hard to speak the truth. And I'm encouraged. I think that, I'm hoping that this leads to more people having the courage to stand up as well.
Right. And would that any of us would realize what my professor taught me all those years ago, which is the fact that even if you don't like it, it's a necessary part of a free society. This is how we make ourselves better. We have to have the comics. We have to have the clown, as in Shakespeare.
The court jester.
Right. You have to have that for us to be able to see things clearly. It's just the way it is.
Well, that's right. We're kind of like the canary in the coal mine, or like you said, the court jester. We're the at the Babylon Bee, we kind of think of ourselves as the childish kid in the corner that is reminding everybody the emperor has no clothes. We're the people who haven't learned that it's not good manners to say certain things when we're just going to say it. And you talk to people who lived through say the Soviet Union, and they'll say that the last thing to die is comedy. And when that is gone, when the jokes are gone, you're in trouble. So it's something that we really have to fight for. Even, if we don't agree with the jokes, it's important to fight for it.
Joel Berry's with us, the Babylon Bee's managing editor and deadly warrior monk with a shadowy past. That's what I read today. I'd like to delve more deeply into that.
Got a new book out.
The book is called The Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness, How to Take Your Wokeness to the Next Level by Canceling Friends, Breaking Windows, and Burning It All to the Ground.
And it's one of these books. It's super funny, filled with all kind of very interesting, clever stuff. You're going to laugh out loud more than several.
And a lot of it could make you mad.
Yeah,
but you know what? Be an adult and deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Joel, what about this idea of wokeness? I mean, will we look back, hopefully at some point, 5, 10, 20 years from now and go, that was a crazy era in the United States? Or is this here to stay? What are your feelings?
That's a good question. I think that we will probably look back and laugh about this movement.
Good.
But, in 15 years, it'll be something else. It's always something. I think, you might call it the spirit of the age. There's always a new philosophy and a new worldview kind of rearing its head that sets itself up against the truth, the revealed truth of God. And it'll take different forms, throughout the years. But, this is the battle we fight now. And there have been some great critiques, some great books that have been released in the last couple of years, that are answering wokeness. And we thought that it needed a little bit of a lighter touch, some mockery and some satire. So we were glad to kind of add that to the group.
Fabulous.
Okay, what do you do with people who hate you?
People that hate us.
Yeah.
We just laugh.
Okay.
You know, I think the part of a lot of the comedy today comes from the kind of the self-seriousness of the left. They take themselves very, very seriously, and they don't like to be laughed at. And you know, that makes the comedy all the more funny to us. You know.
What about you guys? I mean, do you have space? Are you, out touring at all? I mean, are you on college campuses? Are you invited places to perform and speak?
Yeah, on occasion. Most of the time we're just kind of in our laundry rooms and closets writing jokes. So we don't get out much. We don't even get much sunlight. So.
Are you married, Joel?
I am. Yeah, I'm married, have some kids.
What is that like? I mean, they've got to work alongside you, right?
Yeah, they're very patient with me. My kids at least pretend to think I'm funny, and my wife, she does too. So
I like it took you a minute to get there, but you ended up with no, she does too.
Joel, listen, we're fans. You guys do excellent work. We are thrilled to talk to you, and keep on going on, because we need you guys more than
We
ever.
need comics.
The
We
court
need it.
jesters
We need
must
it.
proclaim. Yeah, I mean, it's a really weird world, so you guys do terrific work. Thanks for all that.
Well, thank you so much.
That's Joel Berry. I'm holding up the book right now, The Ride Home, streaming live on YouTube at The Word Pittsburgh. You can see it. It is the Babylon Bee Guide to Wokeness, how to take your wokeness to the next level by canceling friends, breaking windows, and burning it all to the ground.
Super funny stuff. Take a quick break. We come back. Almost the Week in Review. With a few swipes of a paint roller, the actor Christopher Walken wiped away a real Banksy painting from the side of a building in England on an episode of the BBC's The Outlaws that aired Wednesday night. Now, though Banksy's works have fetched millions of dollars at auction, Mr. Walken unceremoniously painted over the artwork on the comedy drama series, which is set in Banksy's hometown of Bristol. A spokesperson for the Big Talk Productions, the show's production company, confirmed that the artwork was, quote, an original Banksy, and that Mr. Walken painted over it during filming, ultimately destroying it. The production company offered no more details, and a representative for Banksy did not respond to a request for the comment.
So he didn't know.
Well, it's kind of unclear.
Or maybe he didn't know and he was making his own artistic statement. He was out Banksying Banksy.
And maybe Banksy was part of that. Right? I mean, he's in Bristol, so, you know, in the BBC show, directed by and starring the comedian Stephen Merchant, Mr. Walken's character, Frank, is ordered to perform community service. He and several other characters don high-visibility vests as they clean up graffiti from a wall on the side of a building in Bristol. Mr. Walken's character, fulfilling his duties, knocks over a board leaning against the wall, revealing a painted black and white rat and 2 canisters recognizable in Banksy's style, even if the word Banksy wasn't spray painted on the wall in orange. Look at this rat I found, Walken says to his supervisor, played by Jessica Gunning, who, uninterested, spends her supervision reading with her back to the wall. After he explains it was graffiti, not a real one, she responds, "Council said paint over any graffiti, so crack on." So Mr. Walken shrugs. The camera zooms tightly on the artwork as he covers it entirely with 6 strokes of a paint roller.
Where are you reading this from?
This is from today's New York Times. Daniel Victor is the author. So I would imagine this is a Banksy prank.
Yeah, because the number one thing he's looking to do is get publicity. And he's a satirist himself.
And everybody loves Christopher Walken.
Sure.
So it's sort of like a made-for-TV thing.
Favorite Christopher Walken performance?
Well, the weird Christopher Walken, and it's only like one scene, is in Annie Hall.
Yeah, I never saw Annie Hall.
And Woody Allen goes to visit Diane Keaton's family for the first time, and Christopher Walken plays Diane Keaton's brother, and they have dinner together, and then later on the evening, Christopher Walken he's in his bedroom, like in his parents' house, and Woody Allen walks by and he goes, "Hey, come on in," and then Christopher Walken says, "Sometimes at night, as I'm driving," and then he goes into this poetic thing about, I'm driving along a dark, rainy street, and I want to steer the car into oncoming traffic to avenge the carnage and in the inconsequential of the world. The camera cuts. Next scene, Christopher Walken's driving, and Annie Hall and Woody Allen are together in the same car. It's a laugh out loud
funny.
moment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the first time I saw Christopher Walken. Right, and from there.
So what year was that in the 80s?
No, it's probably 76,
Wow.
77.
Wow, okay.
Long time ago.
Okay.
He's been around a long time. How about you? You got a favorite?
My favorite, the first thing that comes to my head is that he did a 3-part miniseries for PBS.
The Deer Hunter.
No. With Glenn Close called Sarah Plain and Tall.
Oh, yeah.
Which he's absolutely wonderful. He plays a widowed dad of 2 who lives in the plains during the Dust Bowl.
Sure.
And orders a mail-order bride, who's Glenn Close, to come and rescue them from
It's a
help.
BBC thing? Really?
It's a PBS thing. It wasn't a BBC thing. It was a PBS thing. But I thought he was really great in that. But pretty recently I saw him in a movie. It's like a short movie called Turks and Caicos.
Oh.
It's on. I saw it streaming on Netflix that he did with Bill Nighy.
Oh, really? Oh, Bill Nighy, I love him.
Yeah, the 2 of them together are so excellent, and Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, what's that on?
The 3 of them.
Streaming?
I think I saw it on Amazon.
Really? I mean, he's just a really wild character, and he started out as a song and dance man.
Right.
He's a dancer.
Yeah. I didn't know that until I met you. I remember you telling me that.
So when you see him on Saturday Night Live, which he's been on multiple times as the guest host, because he's a super funny guy, Mort Cowbell. Right? I mean, there he is. He's dancing, and he dances up a storm. He's fabulous, and he's been married to the same woman for close to 50 years. So there's Christopher Walken. And of course, the Pittsburgh thing is the Deer Hunter, which is
Sure.
his
thing.
opus, right?
You think that's his magnum?
Well, no, I can't say that to be true, but it's
I
one of them.
want Sarah Plainenthal to be his magnum. Meanwhile, probably 98% of the people who like Christopher Walken have never seen it.
More mellow cup.
All right. Coming up next, it's the Week in Review. What was everyone talking about? What did we eat? Watch? What are we reading? What hacked us off? It's coming up next, Friday edition. Right home.
It's been another week. That means it's time for John and Kathy's Week in Review. What was everyone talking about this week?
I would say two things. Astroworld and the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Okay. Yeah. I would also say that people are talking about Biden's plummeting approval rating and the passing of the infrastructure bill. People are mad that, if you're a Republican, you're mad that the Republicans crossed over and voted for it. If you're a Democrat, you're mad that the Democrats didn't.
Right. He was just mad.
Yeah, pretty mad.
What was a conversation that made you think?
Monday of this week, we brought in Bob Lipinski, who is 81 years old and a gearhead, a former drunk and an addict. Miraculously, like a lot of people do, came to Christ in a moment of great despair, had a gun in his hand and was going to kill himself. And I believe it was Pat Robertson, right?
Yep.
I mean, that was a great story.
700 Club.
So I loved having Bob and his wife Susan.
He
here
saw
with
Pat
us.
Robertson on TV.
Yeah. So Bob and Susan Lipinski, fabulous. I thought about them all week long.
Yeah. I couldn't pick. I had so many. I liked Jared Bias on Tuesday's show, who talked about disagreeing well. I really liked Robert Tracy McKenzie yesterday talking about the fallen nature of America. But the one that I think won out for me was Rosie McKinney, who was with us on Wednesday's show at 4:10, and she talked about pornography addiction from the wife's perspective. So she was married to someone who was a porn addict, and she just told her story.
It's a great story.
Talked about the organization that she and her husband both founded, and it was a tough conversation, but
And an eye opener.
yeah, but it was really good.
Excellent.
What did you eat?
So there is an unassuming Chinese restaurant in Westview on Perrysville Avenue, which is also Route 19, called Young's House. People,
Yeah.
you should go there. I'm just saying, you should go there because it's delicious, and their cashew chicken is the bomb. And also, the shrimp with mixed vegetables and white sauce, it's so hearty. The shrimp is large and delicious, and the spring rolls tops.
Nice. Unassuming. That's what I like.
Unassuming.
How many unassuming Chinese restaurants are there around?
A lot.
Yeah, exactly. Which you love, you know. My wife made meatloaf.
I haven't had meatloaf in... I love it.
And it's not just any meatloaf. I mean, she's got like everything in there. Everything. 2 different kinds of olives, corn, Gouda cheese. I mean, all this, it's fabulous. So I've been eating meatloaf almost every night this week. I'm going to turn into a meatloaf. Anyway, that's for me.
Love it.
What did you watch?
2 things I've been watching. Dope Sick and The Chosen. I mean,
Back to back.
well, sometimes, weirdly enough, listen, that Dope Sick on Hulu, Michael Keaton, fabulous. Excellent. Please do yourself a favor if you
About
got Hulu.
the opioid
Yep.
epidemic, right?
It sure is. And everyone's been talking about The Chosen for probably 2
Except
years.
us, because we haven't seen it.
Right. I watched it. I'm into 7 episodes on season 1. It is fabulous. Great, great, great. Writing, production, acting. I love it so much. Can't wait to watch season 2. The Chosen.
Okay. I watched The Night Manager for the second time. It stars Tom Hiddleston. And who's the guy who was House?
I don't know.
Hugh Laurie.
Oh, yeah. Hugh Laurie.
Yeah. And the woman who played Princess Diana in The Crown.
Okay.
The 3 of them together. It came out on Amazon about 6 years ago, and then it went off. It recently came back on again. It's the best miniseries I've ever seen. It is that outstanding. It is gorgeous. It's filmed on location around the world. The acting is absolutely top shelf. And in addition to those 3 people, guess who stars in it?
Who?
Olivia Colman.
Oh.
How about that cast?
Fabulous. Good.
Absolutely terrific.
The Night
So check it out.
Manager.
It is not for kids.
Okay.
The Night Manager on Amazon.
What are you reading?
I finished my PT and Diana.
Physical therapy.
Yeah, my physical and Diana, who is the front person at the PT. I gave her a book, and I had this book called The Illuminated Life of Christ.
I know that book.
The Gospels and Great Master Paintings, and so I love this book so much. And really what it is you're looking at these incredible paintings and then reading along with scripture as well. And one, of course, obviously complements the other. So this has been sitting on my coffee table all week long. I gave one away. I still got another one left. And I just love it so much. I can't recommend it enough. The Illuminated Life of Christ.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book.
It sure is.
I love that book. I started reading a Miroslav Volf book that I've had on my bookshelf for a while called Allah, A Christian Response.
Oh, I remember this.
Yes. We talked to him about the book, but it was one of those times when the book arrived just as we were ready to talk to him, so we really didn't have a chance to read it.
Sure.
It's unfortunate when that happens. Anyway, so I decided to go back. It's very challenging, very challenging. I'm not sure that I can go where he's going, but he's such a preeminent thinker
Yes, he is.
that whatever he writes is worth reading. So that's what I'm doing now.
What hacked you off?
Man arrested for threatening to kill GOP congressman who voted for Biden's infrastructure bill.
You
Seriously?
Honest?
This is America, right? Your party, you're following along. The guy and your party doesn't vote the way you want him. So now the guy gets death threats? I mean,
It's a banana republic.
it's crazy. It's just absolutely. So this kind of, it really hacks me off that this is where we've devolved to as a
Absurd.
society.
It's absolutely absurd. Well, there were 2 slam pieces that I read within a week of each other. One was about Kenneth Branagh in the New York Times, actor Kenneth Branagh.
That opens today.
Oh, yeah, the Belfast movie. And the second one was in yesterday's Washington Post about Eric Clapton. And I just got it. I'm so hacked off I can't speak about it. I cannot believe what passes for journalism in America right now. These 2 pieces were ostensibly written by people who were just reporting on these men. But instead, they come at it with this self-righteous,
Woke.
I'm so perfect, this is the most enlightened era in all of world history attitude. And they bring it to 2 people who are peerless in their occupation. If you can't look at Eric Clapton and you can't look at Kenneth Branagh and say, you know what, I might not agree with them, I might disagree with them, but they are kings of their genre.
They're artists.
Then why do you have a position writing for a newspaper?
Yeah, I agree.
Hack me off.
What was the best news you heard this week?
I read the story about this guy who's an IT specialist. His name's Eugene Harmon, and he was born in Libya. And now he's living in Columbus, Ohio. And so he's making a little bit of money as an IT guy. And he decided to start the Astro Football Academy in Ghanta, which is in Libya. For these kids, he pays $18 a month to rent a soccer field, to pay 5 staffers. 60 kids between the ages of 12 and 15 are part of the club. And it's required that all they do is they have to stay in school and participate in community service projects. He also is going to go visit them later on. And he says he's going to use his life savings to buy 6 acres of land in Ghanta where he plans to build a school.
Isn't that terrific?
One guy doing great stuff.
I love that.
Yep.
I absolutely love that. The best news is that, my husband's a musician. My daughter sings, and we went through a year and a half with no live music.
Yeah.
So this Sunday, we get to go up and hear an actual choir concert. Super excited. It's going to be actual live music. We're not watching it on Zoom. We're not watching it on our phones. We're not hooking up, the speakers to the TV. Make sure we hear. We're not doing that. We're actually going
You're in a room
to be
together.
in the room. Can you believe
That's
that?
very, very good news.
And that's John and Kathy's Week in Review.
Okay, so we've been trying our hand at handicapping the football games or sports events.
We have. We've been busy over the last, I don't know, 3 weeks or so.
It's kind of fun, right?
It is kind of fun.
It's not for fun and profit.
Yeah,
just for
well,
fun.
no. And last night was fun because it was a Pitt game, except that I was in so much physical pain by the end of the fourth quarter because I thought they were going to blow it.
It looked like they might
It's
have.
just, it's.
But they were victors in the
They
end.
were victors. They
Yeah.
were victors, and I salute them.
And Kenny Pickett, fabulous.
Kenny Pickett was fabulous. But a lot better in the first half. What happened to the second half? Like the third quarter.
First
it's
quarter was like-
the offense disappeared.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Well, the
give
kicker didn't help things.
right, and I give a lot of credit to the Pitt defense, who I was kind of
They were
slamming
much
yesterday.
maligned.
I feel badly about
Yeah.
it. So anyway, so
That's
the actual score of last night's game was Pitt 30, North Carolina 23 in OT.
We blew that.
So we blew it horribly.
Yeah.
We blew it really horribly. So Christy thought it was going to be 40-34. You thought it was going to be, John, 45-38. And I thought it was going to be 54-48.
Boy, look at that.
We were like,
We're like a 100-point game. Like, what the heck were we thinking?
So here's the thing. So since we started making picks, I have been keeping them in my favorite book.
Yeah.
I've written them down here.
You got a pick book.
And so if you pick the victor of the game, I'm giving you a point.
Okay.
And whoever's closest to the score gets another point.
Oh.
That's how it's going. That's
Okay.
how I've been keeping track. So
I had no
do
idea.
you want to hear where we are up to
Yeah,
this
please.
point?
Yeah, I like the score.
Because I have an aggregate total for
Okay,
you.
good. Where are we?
And if you don't pick the victor, you get 0 points.
Of course.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Is this payback for picking the Seahawks that one week?
Well, that was before we started keeping track.
Oh, okay.
No,
So it
so
doesn't.
it's
So it
not on the
actually doesn't
board.
count. Leading the pack, the pack between the three of us. See, I had a hard time because it got stuck in my throat because this is so annoying. Christy.
Christy's leading.
Yes.
Is she?
Christy's leading with 6 points.
Nice.
John trailing
Yeah.
with 5 points.
Hey, good.
And I'm bringing up the rear with 3.
3.
It's really hard for
I'm
me.
surprised to hear that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
right,
I'm a little upset by it. That includes last night's picks, okay, for Pitt, North
So
Carolina.
we all got a point for last night, but we were horrible.
Yeah, and Christy got 2 because she was closest.
Oh, that's why she zoomed ahead.
Yeah, that's why
I'm
she's
feeling pretty
closest.
good about myself there, Karen.
So anyway, so I want us to look ahead
Okay.
to the weekend. So we have 2 games to pick. We have Pens and Sens, which I think is tomorrow night at 7. And, or is it Sens at Pens? No, it's Pens at Sens.
Okay.
And we have the Lions at the Steelers, which is Sunday at 1. Okay. So I ask the person who's currently in the lead to go first.
Bring it.
So Pens at Sens, I would like to hear what you predict, Christy.
I have 3-2 Pens because the Senators have like 12 players out.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll do Pens 4-1.
4-1. Okay. I feel as if I need to shake things up a little bit. There's no reason why the Senators should win this game because half of their team is out.
Yeah.
I'm still picking them. You know, I just am. Because remember the Pens Leafs thing? Remember we thought that was going to happen? Yeah. So I'm saying 2-1 Sens.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for. Steelers Lions comes up Sunday at 1. The Lions stink.
Yeah.
Okay, they haven't won a game. Now, last week at this time I said, or on Monday, I said the Chicago Bears stink. But they almost beat us.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says. Nothing good, actually. As Ben said, he did a press conference a couple days ago. And I think the quote was, and I'm just guessing, I don't really remember the quote, but he said something like, well, we're not very good. So, I mean, it's not a secret to anybody.
Right.
They're not operating on all cylinders. But the Lions have not yet won a game.
Okay.
And so anything could happen. It's the NFL.
It's any
So,
Sunday.
John, I turn to you first in this regard, and I ask you what you think.
I'm saying Steelers 24, Lions 10.
Christy.
I feel like I need to explain.
Oh, here we go.
What?
So I have 29-27 Steelers.
Yeah.
They're going to pull it out, but it'll be a Mike Tomlin special and they'll underplay the team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm just concerned about the whole thing simply because it's the one, it's like the Michigan State for Pitt. It's the thing that you shouldn't lose that you end up losing and then you hate yourself
come
and then
on,
the
they
whole
can't
city
lose
hates
this
you.
game.
I don't think that the Steelers are going to lose either, but I agree that it's going to be a squeaker.
Okay.
Only I think it's going to be even more upsetting than that. I think it's going to be like
10-7?
1917 Steelers.
Okay.
I wish it wasn't, but I'm afraid that's what it's going to be.
Okay, so we'll find out Monday where we are.
I've put that, and I will keep the total ongoing, and
right.
we're going to dethrone Christy. I mean, she's been here for like 6 months, for crying out loud. She can't win
We
the
thought she was here for 3.
Yeah, okay, so listen.
Wait, if I win, what's my prize?
Mallow Cup.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
No, because I already gave her a Mallow Cup. That's not a good prize. It has to be something good.
Milo gets a prize.
Oh, he would love it.
There you
He
go.
would, but Milo's not picking the numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. All right.
Okay, we'll come up with something.
Okay. All right. Weekend plans? You got anything going on?
I have a lot going on.
Okay. The Pet Expo, if you get some free time.
Oh, in Monroeville?
Down at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Expo includes 3 days of competition and adoption opportunities.
Competition?
As well as a costume contest. There will be exotic birds and reptiles, North American diving dogs, and a grooming competition. More than 200 exhibitors will fill the convention center with pet-related products. Pets on a leash are welcome. $5 to $10 to get in. Pittsburgh, PGHPetExpo.com. Sounds fun.
Do you have to bring your pet in a costume?
If you want to be part of the contest.
Can you imagine if I ever tried to put
No.
a costume on my cats?
Would be bad. How about Food Truckapalooza at the Monroeville Convention Center Saturday from 11 to 5, presented by Good Taste Pittsburgh. 24 of Pittsburgh's mobile restaurants will celebrate Global Fair. The event is sponsored by Steel City Media and Monroeville Kia. $15 for a ticket. How about sweater weather? Forecast is Saturday for 46 degrees. Perfect sweater weather for Cardigan Day. WQED is hosting Zipper Up, Button Down, a day to wear your favorite cardigan. Snap a picture and share it on social media using hashtag Cardigan Day. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, of course. And also Pittsburgh Film Festival, a wide range of theaters across 4 venues. Odd and independent films are being shown, $15. And Philadanco is in town this evening, modern dance company from Philadelphia.
Bet they're Flyers fans.
Some of the sports stuff.